Happy Friday, everyone. Another Tesla Power Hour. I got the man, the myth, the legend, Farzad joining us today. I see everyone in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tuned in from, city, state, country, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing. Farzad, what's up, man?
Chilling, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I had your stream on my other screen, and then you were talking, and then that came up, and then I'm like, "What's just happening?" So I had to turn it off. But I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much.
Good.
Very excited to talk with you today. Thank you, Juju Gang, for having me in your beautiful home. It looks so nice in here. It's so warm. I feel so good. And you got your
Indeed.
Juju. Look
I
at
got my
that.
juju, and
I got water.
honestly, I actually got I got a little bit of emergency as well today because I'm not feeling feeling the best this morning. But
The
I'm
Juju
gonna power
Gang is
through it.
here, bro. The Juju Gang will carry you through. Don't worry. We got
Let's
you.
do it. I
Your
see
back.
everyone in the chat. How's it going, everyone? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'll pull some city-state countries up here: Netherlands, Belgium. You know what's funny is like I always find the evening viewership on the show, and if you're watching on replay, let me know as well. Like the evening viewership is like low key really strong. Like people in Europe, I think, really like to watch this in like the evening around dinner time. I'm not sure if you've noticed that.
I have actually. A lot of my international viewers join me during that time, but I think it's mostly because I think just naturally when I stream, it sort of lines up with the late afternoon, evening time in Europe, and our community forums are usually on Friday at 11 a.m., which is sort
Mm,
of late afternoon, evening for a lot of parts in Europe. So
mm,
I'm just so thankful to have such an international audience. It's crazy, and I'm sure you feel the same way too. It's like the wildest thing that you
yeah,
have these friends from across the pond
yeah.
that you'll probably never meet in person, but hopefully we do. It's like the coolest thing in the world. So thankful, and I'm sure it's such a treat for you, man.
Oh,
It's a
for
trip.
sure. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
it like this is the power of YouTube, right? Is like to be able to connect, and I say this every week. I say this every Friday. Definitely sound like a broken record by now, but it's great to have like this like hive mind of people to come. I mean, where I would say generally speaking, everyone's pretty much like minded, but everyone has their diverse point of views that they bring into the table, and some people agree, some people disagree. I've noticed every Friday there's been like awesome chats happening in the comment section. So it's great to get perspective on that sort of stuff. And to be honest, during times like kind of like we need it right now. I mean, to be fair, and I'll pull it up here on my Webull. Tesla stock sitting at $180 currently. Thoughts on the stock, Farzad, and the stock market in general?
Yeah, man, it sucks. Those are my thoughts. It sucks.
It does.
It's definitely a tough going for folks that have been invested in the company, that have gone into the name, say in the last I don't know, in the last year or so, especially when we hit the highs back in, I guess, end of November or early November, October timeframe, I think it was. It's just been down with the market. A
Mm,
lot of fears around the recession, upcoming recession. Obviously, the Fed is not helping matters. Tesla, you have this Twitter variable that's playing into it. It's causing quite a bit of discomfort in the Tesla community. Obviously, it's as everybody has a right to feel that way. At the same time, there's a lot of great things happening behind the scenes that are obviously not in front of people's faces.
yeah.
And that's usually when the next generation of a company goes, is when all this craziness is happening. There's a lot of hard work being done behind the scenes that is going to be crucial for the next stage of the company. But
Yeah.
right now, we are in Fed raising rates, Elon on Twitter firing everybody, and creating a I don't know, a love-hate relationship with AOC. You got Tesla investors not happy with sort of his attention, being
Yeah.
moved somewhere else. It's a tough time to be a Tesla investor, but I'm using it again as a time for me to reevaluate why I'm invested in the company, right sizing it to my expectations, which I haven't sold a share. I also haven't bought a single share because I don't have the income streams to do it, which is pissing me off.
Mm,
Because I have a certain lifestyle I want to live, and I'm like, so I'm fighting through that right now.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just a battle. It's a battle, and but
For
next
sure.
year is going to be very interesting because there's so many different variables happening with legacy auto, the EV tax credit, the
Yeah.
Cybertruck launching, the semi launching, FSD
Yeah.
going wide release. There's just so much. And then, with the Twitter stuff, I think the Twitter stuff is very short term. It
Uh
will
huh.
be before you know it, it's going to be a thing where we're going to look back in 3 to 6 months and be like, wow, that was crazy. But now you're going to have this flourishing social media network that's going to be doing really, really well. Tesla
Hmm.
is going to be doing amazingly because you're going to have record quarter after record quarter, new products coming out. The future is extremely bright, but the short term is kind of a pain in the ass. That's for damn sure. How do you feel?
Dude, don't stop talking. I'm not sure if you noticed, but like as you had your comments there, Tesla was just
Oh,
killing it.
one,
Like
two,
look at
three,
look at
four,
the.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I mean, it must be the juju that you're bringing to the table. This is great. I mean, 180 sitting on Tesla. I mean, I agree with everything that you said there. It is tough times. I guess the way to look at this, like macro speaking wise, if you want to do some revisionist history, even is like, when Tesla was pre-split, $200, $300, $500 a share, and I remember it went to $1,000 or close to $1,000 in that January of 2020 now, right?
2020. Yeah.
eh, you kind of had in the back of your mind as we had that run up to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, then it split. Like you always had in the back of your mind, like, okay, this has gone up so far so fast. When will it get stress tested, right? When will the stock that's been up a huge percentage, insane amount of percentage points in the last 2 or 3 years, still, by the way, like let's not forget this. When will it get stress tested? Because I mean, generally speaking, like I've been watching stocks for a long time. This doesn't generally happen. Like a stock doesn't just go from where Tesla's market cap was to a mega cap company within a couple of years span, and it just doesn't happen. It just takes time. So you had in the back of your head, or at least I did, like what will stress test this? And to be fair, I thought the stress test was generally speaking the beginning of the year. All right. I thought it was, the Omicron shutdown in January in Shanghai that forced everything down, then the Ukraine war. And then I generally thought, okay, well, it seems like this is probably the stress test that we were looking for. A lot of Tesla bears talked about, oh, well, Tesla's only up because of the options volume, and it's just planned squeeze, which I don't even need to get into. But all of that passed around January, February, March, and Tesla was still trading kind of where it was. I mean, what back then was like, what right now it's like trading less than $600 post pre-split.
Yeah.
So it's like you look at the stock now and you kind of just do rough math of like, okay, Tesla. I mean, forget about the entire year because I think January, February, March was just kind of a gong show, and even July there was some upgrades. What can Tesla do Q4? Like this is the big quarter. I think that I look at Tesla stock. I'm like, this is the realization of maximal potential almost for Q4. I can't think of too many excuses that Tesla can make on the supply side this quarter. Shanghai was open. For the most part, they have all the batteries that they need to. Logistics, sure. When we talk about deliveries and them not expediting stuff, but the Q4 is really like it's gonna. I'm not gonna say hit or miss. It's not gonna be make or break for the stock, but it's really gonna show, I think, the potential that Tesla has to ramp up the way that they're ramping up. Now Tesla has to execute on that. That's not a given. Like I think all of us Tesla bulls like to just say that it's a given that Tesla will execute this quarter. Of course, it'll depend on a myriad of factors, but Tesla has the opportunity to really this quarter set everything aside and say, despite everything that was happening in the world, this is how many cars that we created. I don't know, 450,000 or whatever it might be. End up being not the 495 that Reuters was talking about. I think that's too high. And put that aside and say, look, we've built all these cars. Maybe we've delivered less than them, but all of the other ones that we have not yet delivered are sold. They're just on boats or on trucks or on trains, stuff like that.
Right. That's right.
So that's the fundamental side of it. And then I look at the stock price and I look at the dampening effect and the continual weakness. And I hate to say it, but it's because the street hasn't yet, Elon hasn't cleared up for the street the reason why he sold the last time he sold, despite him not needing to. And that really is opening up the Pandora's box for them to jump in, even short sellers to jump in, to be like, Elon could sell at any minute, depending on what happens with Twitter. Now you can run the math of like how long how much cash he has and how long that in terms of a runway that'll last, all that sort of stuff. Sure. But I think the silence is kind of speaking volumes to institutional, let's say traders or hedge funds, to be able to come in and say like, look, if we have big drawdown days, like we talked about last week, those massive volume days that we had, 140 million, 130 million, these were massive drawdown days versus the NASDAQ. Elon wasn't selling because Form 4s did not come out which I was very shocked at. I said last stream, I said I'd be
Same.
very surprised, if Elon was selling. So what was it then at that point? Was it just institutional short selling on Tesla stock because they know that Elon's not going to defend himself anymore based on price action of Tesla? So it's until that is really cleared up, I think I'm going to have a hard time seeing how we have relative strength in the short term on the stock, because everyone thinks that Elon could sell at any point in time. Now that might not be a given, and I'd say most Tesla bulls will say no. But I just think Elon coming out and clarifying why he sold and what his plans are to fund Twitter exclusive of Tesla would clear up a lot for the stock.
I agree.
Sorry for the monologue, but
no, you make excellent points.
Thank you, Bahadir, by the way, for the super chat.
Shout out Bahadir. You make excellent points, and I think for folks that are frustrated with Elon's lack of sort of coming out and supporting the company and the stock, the distractions you may say with Twitter, the friction that's causing their short and medium term investors who are expecting the company's stock to behave in the optimal manner have every right to be frustrated. But within the context of the company's long-term potentials, one of the things you said was a stress test. So where's the stress test? The stress test is on the stock. It's not on the company. The company itself, like you described for Q4, it's going to be firing on all cylinders as much as possible for that. And that hasn't been the case for a long time, since really Q4 of 2019, because 2020 Q1 was COVID. And then for every quarter from that point was supply chain challenges up through, say, Q2 of this year. And then you had Austin and Berlin ramps that are still ongoing in Q4, by the way. But at least you're getting to, and now you have a new limiting factor. Shout out Jordan Gissigi with the transportation and the logistics, which is just what the problem you're going to have with when you're cranking out that many cars. But from a company's perspective, now you have a company that has cut the fat back in Q2 with that 10% layoff of white collar workers with salary employees. Okay. You now have a leadership team in place theoretically that's optimized to really execute at the highest level. You have all the demand you could ever want to, especially in a recessionary environment, especially in comparison to your peers. Because even in a recession, say if Tesla loses demand in a recessionary environment, I would be much more concerned about every other car company, because every other car company has a gigantic amount of debt, and most of their production is tied to a infrastructure that's going completely out of favor. So they're essentially sitting on assets that are worth zero in the long term.
Yeah.
Would you rather be in Tesla, or would you rather be in those other companies? You think about the introduction of the Semi, full self-driving, Cybertruck, the bot. There's so many things coming down the pike for the company long term that are going to be completely undeniable, that the only lever that has to be pulled for the stock to really recuperate is for institutional investors, and where all the big money is, to believe that that's going to become a reality. And the more we go into the future with Elon Musk's track record and Tesla's track record of executing at the highest possible level, then that reality will come at some point. I think the narrative around Elon being away from Tesla or potentially selling stocks is detrimental to the Tesla story. The selling stock portion I could totally see, but guess what? What's Tesla talking about in the medium to short term here? Buybacks. That's one way of potentially offsetting his impact to the stock. Of course, that's still a certain message that gets sent as like, hey, Elon's selling Tesla stock to prop up Twitter. We didn't sign up for this as Tesla investors, when he's telling everybody first in, first out, I'm done selling shares, blah, blah, blah. I get it. That's 100% true. That's a very valid criticism. But within the lens of that long-term lens that I'm trying to sort of re-gauge myself to here a little bit, is even when Elon's behaving in that way, if he sells $5 billion in stock, that's still single-digit percentage of his ownership. And long term, if the company is really going to be generating all this cash, they're going to essentially go give back to the investors by doing buybacks, sort of in a parallel way, I guess. Then what are we really concerned about? It's short-term and medium-term movements. So then the question becomes, what kind of person are you? Like, what are you trying to do as far as making money from this stock? If you're short-term or medium-term, you have every right to be concerned and frustrated. If you're long-term, I don't think the case for Tesla has ever been stronger. I think we are at peak strength of the company from a fundamentals perspective, especially in relation to its share price versus its fundamentals. We've never been here before. And this is where I'm extremely excited long term. But again, short term and medium term, folks have every right to be frustrated because they have it's I get it. I get it.
And I should clarify, like, I'm not sweating really. Like, it's not like I'm over here saying like, oh, everything's changed with Tesla. I'm just trying to observe as to why we're seeing outstanding or relative outstanding weakness in the stock price. I agree with all the fundamentals of what you said, but if I'm on the street, if I'm working on Wall Street, I'm an institutional investor. If I'm let's say I'm a hedge fund that focuses on short selling. Well, I mean, Tesla's kind of ripe for the picking. Like, all you have to do is have a low volume day where you can control the majority, a good percentage of the float, drive down the stock, throw out a couple of bad narratives, and call it Elon is selling because Twitter, everyone's boycotting Twitter more, right? So it kind of sets it up for that. And so again, I think we should be careful because we should everyone, like, for everyone listening, like, we're discriminating between the stock price and Tesla stock fundamentals. Like, the stock price in the short term is a function of many things, and many of those things are not FSD, Optimus, long-term demand. Short term, a lot of the stuff is mechanics around short selling, options, order flow, what institutions are buying in this quarter, what institutions are selling, net outflows from ETFs that hold Tesla. Like, a lot of this is macro driven as well, for sure. So I just look at Tesla stock and I'm like, okay, despite all of that, even, and I'll go rosy on everyone for a second. I mean, despite even all of that, but despite even all that, and I guess I'll pull it up here just so I don't get my facts wrong. Tesla year to date is down 55%. The NASDAQ is down year to date. Is down 30%. So with a beta of 2-ish, Tesla is pretty much in line now where it was. I'm not going to say it's relatively strong like it was a week or two ago, but now it's pretty much in line with that beta of 2 that Tesla carries as a stock versus the NASDAQ. So I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's strong, but it's in that line of where an expected move might have been.
It's meeting expectations, basically.
Pretty much. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, it was exceeding expectations, and I got a lot of heat for that before this recent price drop because Tesla was only down, 40% versus the NASDAQ 30 or whatever it was back then, right? So Alex says, thanks for reminding us. Yeah, I mean, sorry. I hate doing the year-to-date stuff. But it's all of this put aside even, I think all that Elon would have to do, and I guess he's been advised not to, or maybe he plans to sell more. I guess this is why we can't tell, is say, okay, I sold a couple of weeks ago and this is why I don't think I will need to in the future. But I guess he's been burnt once by saying that and then having to sell later for whatever reason that he's like, screw this. I'm not going to explain every time I'm doing this. I'm just going to leave it as it is. So,
yeah. I think it would have served him really well if he would have come out in this last round and said, this is why I sold. Moving forward, I'm not going to say why I'm selling. Like, I'm done. I quote unquote made a mistake, whatever. It's my right to sell. I don't care what kind of verbiage he uses.
It is his right to sell, for sure.
It's absolutely. And I support, dude, he deserves every single penny that he makes. The guy has gone through hell and back to build that company up to where it is now. He has every right to do whatever he wants with his stock, Go ahead.
And even then, he's not selling a huge percentage of his shares on Tesla. It's not like he's selling half of his Tesla stock or something. So yeah,
100%. But it's totally, my criticism to him would be, you have to be cognizant of the degradation of trust that is created by those kinds of actions with Tesla investors. And I put that on the tweet when the Form 4 came out. I was like, even for myself, there's a degradation of trust because I'm like, okay, now Elon is. This is a perfect example of why he's not that great at communication. He's just not. And I get, like, within the context of how he said, yes, I'm done selling, it was probably for that segment of shares he was selling. It doesn't matter. That's not how a lot of people can, perceive that. I got texts that same day from friends and family. What the I thought he was done.
Right.
it betrays people's trusts.
Yeah.
So it's not done maliciously. I really don't think it's done maliciously. He has every right to do what he wants. It's a communication issue.
Right.
So and
And
that
he's
will hurt
decided,
the stock.
and
But
now he's decided, I'm just not going to play this communication thing
which
anymore.
is fine.
I'm just going to
Yeah.
blackball,
It'll blow
or
over. Yeah.
yeah, or maybe we're being too rosy with this as well, and he has to sell more, right? And this is the fear,
Potentially.
right? So
Yeah.
I guess that is the reason why I think we're really seeing relative weakness now, is because there is a possibility that he's not saying anything because he needs to sell more, which again, I'm not saying is a bad thing. He has his so it's like this is such a nuanced take, right? And I hope everyone in the chat is able to understand the intricacies of the arguments that we're having. But it's like, should Elon be able to sell? Yeah, I mean, for sure. Should he have to tell us before he's having to sell? No way, folks. Like,
Exactly.
that's never going to happen. If Elon is going to come out and say, "Look, I'm selling tomorrow," what do you think is going to happen to the stock price tomorrow? Everyone and their mom is going to buy puts and go short on the stock. It's just going to be it's stupid. So that's not going to happen. But does he have to tell us after? Yeah, for sure. That's his legal requirement. So for him not to say anything, we think it's Elon just saying, screw it, I'm not communicating about this anymore. If I have to deal with it. Or there's that 10% of optionality here where it's like Elon's not saying anything because he's going to continue to sell over the next couple of months. And that's why I think we're seeing relative weakness in short term, at least in the stock price.
So what would be interesting to see to confirm that that signal is if news comes out from either Elon or I don't know, something that says that Twitter's long-term profitability has been secured and Tesla rebounds, then we know that was one of the biggest variables that was holding the stock to where it is now. So Twitter's success is very much tied to the stock performance, if that's one of the primary fears that's driving the stock down. And I think that's one of the main reasons. Well, I guess in tandem with that, the speed at which Elon has been making change at Twitter, to me, is not surprising at all because I've been there. But I think everybody's completely shocked and taken aback. And if you look at all the different takes that are being said on mainstream media, which, by the way, I was reminded again today. I was looking at some takes from CNBC and NBC and CBS and all these. I'm like, how they're reporting on this Elon Musk Twitter thing. I'm like, how the hell are you guys still around? It makes no sense to me how these companies still exist. It's a disgrace to journalism. It really is. It's such a disgrace. My wife, who took a journalism class, we were watching some videos right before we came on, and she's like, if I did this on my class, I would get an F. It would be a disgrace how I'm reporting on this thing. It's so biased. Anyway, those quick actions are going to set up Twitter very much to become profitable much quicker than people realize. When you're creating sort of that culture of innovation at the company, which is the reason why Tesla is Tesla today. These are the kind of things that happen in these companies. It's very uncomfortable. My first slew of videos when I came on the scene on YouTube were focused on that culture. Like what sets Tesla so apart from everybody else? It's exactly what you're seeing in Twitter. And so when you see these news reports about, oh, Elon's losing his mind, oh my God, he's treating people unfairly, oh my God, this is collapsing or whatever, and then Twitter is gaining new all-time highs, that website's still up. Last night was a blast on Twitter. It was so fun. Like, this is how you build life-changing companies. This is what happened. It's the same exact DNA that made Tesla into what it is today is going into Twitter. The thing with Twitter now is that it's software. It's 100% software. You don't have hardware. You don't have supply chain. You don't have nearly as many humans in the quote-unquote way to potentially derail your mission. You now have 300, 500 people at Twitter just making stuff happen on a daily basis. And those 300 or 500 people want to be there. They want to be there and they want to live that lifestyle. They want to create that culture. They want to work with Elon and change the world. And then what's going to happen is that those 300 to 500 people are going to have a compounding effect on each other Like the example I use is anybody in the comments or yourself, have you ever worked in a job where you felt like you were the highest performer at the job or one of the best performers, but you felt dragged down by your peers because it doesn't matter what you did to change culture or to make an impact. You're like, well, this is not going to go anywhere because my boss doesn't care. No one else is going to care. It's not going to get shown. Nobody's going to adopt this thing, right? It sucks. And so most companies don't operate in that manner because that culture is broken. When you do what Elon did at Twitter, now you have 300 to 500 people that are all extremely high performers that know they can get it done. And so they're going to move 100 times faster than they would have in the past with 1,000 times the effectiveness because shit will actually get done. And the fact that it's software, it's going to get done way faster than people think. Within 6 to 12 months, Twitter is going to be this incredible platform that people are going to be like, what the hell is this now? I love this thing. And then Tesla's going to be shipping Cybertruck, Semi, FSD, and all of this is going to be fine. All of this is going to be completely fine. We're going to move past it. And yeah, this is how it's going to play out.
So I mean, I generally agree.
Not
like
for,
I mean, it's not that you can even invest in Twitter, but I agree. Like, I mean, you need radical culture shift in a new company. I guess that's what Elon's asking for. Elon's demanding, really. So I mean,
can
there's a couple.
Highlight something? I'm just so sorry. So can you pull up Mimi's comment there? Because she makes a point that I would love to riff off of. You shouldn't have to give up your life for your job. That is what Elon demands. So that's a fair point. If you're somebody who is forced to be at that job, these people are not forced to be at the job. They have a right to leave. And this is what I'm talking about, that culture of innovation. Every single person that's working at Twitter right now doesn't feel like they're giving up their life. They feel like this is their life. They want to be part of something big. So that's the biggest change here, and you don't need that many people to create incredible things. I want to really harp on this big time. You don't need that many people to create life-changing things. With software, I really believe that 500 to 1,000 people are going to do a giant, they're going to make giant improvements on that platform. They're going to create this life-changing thing for a lot of people, and they're going to want to be there because they choose to make that their life. It's the passion. It's a passion. This is how I felt when I was at Tesla. It was a part of me. Like, I was so proud to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go into the facility at 7 and not leave until 10 p.m. because I wanted to be there. I wanted to be part of that story. This is what Elon is so freaking good at. He's a magnet for these kind of people. And you throw them all into the room together, it's magic. Talk to any former employee that was really part of those cultures that drove stuff forward. I bet you they'll all say the same exact thing. They wanted to be there. Was it hard? Hell yes. Was it extremely brutal? Hell yes. Was it extremely rewarding and addicting? Hell yes. And that's what Twitter is now. And that's what our core crew is. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Yasha. I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, hopefully,
and no disrespect to Mimi. And no disrespect to Mimi. Like, I really get her statement. I just wanted. This is how I view that statement. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gonna get there. It's still early innings. What I guess I'll throw a question at you. Like, you sound very like convinced Twitter is gonna work out for sure. And I'm generally there with you. I want Twitter to work out. What percentage chance do you give this Twitter project to be like an epic fail? What percentage in your mind?
0.
100%. So so I guess black and white. Okay, interesting. Well, you're sticking your neck out there. So I mean, I short term it might
There's
be.
no chance it fails. No chance it fails.
Okay. And by the
way,
I'm
of
not
Elon,
saying,
like literally, like passing away, God forbid, knock on wood, that's never going to happen. I really don't think it fails, and that might be a lot of hubris from my end, but I have that much confidence in how he runs businesses. Yeah.
So, I should clarify. I don't mean fail as in like the website is no longer up. I mean like fail as in like it doesn't get to the point. It's like more or less what it is today. I would classify 0%. That as a fail. Okay. So I guess and what's your timeline on like this shifting? 6 months to a year? Less than that, maybe?
I think 6 to 12 months, Twitter will be recognized as one of the best social media platforms in the world, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Good. Are there any exceptions to that rule of whatever Elon touches turns to gold for you?
See, the thing with Elon is that I feel like he's so good at picking his battles. He's so good at whatever he focuses on to take it to the next level. It's come to fruition. It's always late. And it's always late. But there isn't one grand vision that I can think of in relation to Tesla or SpaceX that is of material impact that hasn't come to fruition. And something like full self-driving as an example, it's not coming to fruition just yet, but the rate of improvement of that software versus anything else that I've seen is second to none. And the strategy that's been taken to execute on that is second to none. Getting an EV to profitability, that's never happened. No one else has ever done that. Reusable rockets, no one else has ever done that, right? So these are the things that I think I might be very biased because while I worked at the company, I saw impossible things being achieved day in and day out, that I have no shortage of confidence in the type of talent that Elon employs and how those people work together to make stuff happen. If there's one thing that he's excellent at, for all his shortcomings and all his stupid remarks sometimes and how he behaves in a public forum, the guy knows how to build teams. He knows how to draw out the talent from every single person that he hires, and he knows how to build business culture to ensure it maximizes everyone's potential. It's second to none. I haven't seen anything like it before, and I was personally part of it, and it transformed my life. And maybe that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I think that's what he's good at. He's the best at that.
Gotcha.
He's by far the best at that.
What's funny is, honestly, what's funny is like, I almost feel like Elon didn't learn his lesson with the Fremont acquisition of the factory when he said he regrets buying that old GM factory and then having to redo everything anyways, versus just starting from scratch, first principles. Like, I almost feel like with Twitter, and maybe, I give this a 20% bias in my mind, is like, just what if you spent that money on a brand new platform from scratch without all of the baggage of this platform? I guess the problem there is you might not get the same demographics of people to sign up for your site, knowing that it's an Elon Musk founded company. But I almost feel like, why not just have started it from scratch? Anyways, whatever. We don't have to get too much into it.
Yeah. People are telling me to leave.
Why?
Okay, bye. I just think I think there are.
No, why? They're saying, why did you leave Tesla? Is what
Farzy, please leave now. I see some comments. Anyway, please exit stage left. It's
Farzad's not going. No, let's be nice. Let's be nice. And by the way, you have a great video. If anyone wants to learn about Farzad's journey in Tesla, why he left, what motivations he has, go. I think it's pinned on your channel dashboard.
It used to be. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I can give some context too. Like, the reason why I left is because Tesla made me financially independent. I have passions outside of, working at a company and having my label be Tesla employee. We built incredible teams that are super talented that are now taking the company to the next level. My wife and I wanted to travel. We wanted to start our own things with our passions. We wanted to spend more time with each other. And so Tesla enabled me to do that. I'm not going to work at a company for the rest of my life. Yeah. But the 4 and 3 months, 4 years and 3 months, 4 years and 4 months that I was there was the best period of my life from a career development standpoint, and I'm not ashamed of that. And I'm gonna talk about it as much as I can in hopes that it helps others understand some insight into it. So
and again, you have a video on your channel. Anyone curious about that? Sure. Again, you don't have to stay there for your whole life to say that you love it, right? Like that's exactly the keynote. $180 sent on Tesla, 68 million shares traded on the day. I didn't give context as to macro. So S&P 500 is up 40 basis points. The Nasdaq is flat on the day. Tesla is down almost 2%. So we are, and Apple is up 50 basis points. So we are seeing that relative weakness again today, as we sit here. By the way, I put this in the title? Did you see that Cybertruck rumor? I don't even want to pull it up on Twitter. I was debating whether I should even give it attention. I'm not going to. But did you see that Cybertruck, 100 semis and 30 Cybertrucks to be delivered by the end of the year rumor on Twitter? Did you see that? Okay, so it was probably
the hand-built semis, was it? The hand-built
hand-built Cybertrucks
by the end of the year.
So yeah, I'll give context. There was someone on Twitter. Yeah. Again, this is the problem with the verification thing, because I'm I saw it and I'm like, oh, there's probably some. So someone said, look, a source tells me, again, this is not me saying this, folks, 100 semis to be delivered by the end of the year and 30 Cybertrucks. The Cybertruck portion is the portion that we didn't hear, and then he or she went on to say, my source is pretty legit, but I can't reveal it, obviously. I find that hard to believe that the Cybertruck would be delivered by the end of the year, even one, considering that I don't even think it's past crash ratings yet. So I don't know if you, I was hoping that you'd see that, you've seen that, but regardless, what are your thoughts on that potentiality?
Impossible. I don't think Cybertruck comes to the end of this year. There's
No,
no way. There's way too much. I mean, it's a brand new platform. They have to test the hell out of it, make sure all the safety stuff is in place. Have the Giga presses even made it to Texas yet?
I
Like
think they have.
the single the Idra one from Italy, has it been shipped to Giga Texas?
I think it's already there. I think they're assembling it though. Someone in the chat
It's,
can correct
okay.
me.
It's not enough time. It's
No.
not enough time. Yeah, I would say probably maybe Q1, late Q1 of next year might be closer if we're super bullish on Cybertruck happening quicker. But who knows? I mean, the thing that Elon does and Tesla does is that they set these very unrealistic quote unquote goals to try and push the staff to work as hard as possible to make something happen as quickly as possible. So even though the goal might be get 30 Cybertrucks out the door, 100 Cybertrucks by the door by end of the year, they might be saying that with the full intention that they know that it's probably not going to be until say April, May. But unless they set that goal, it's not going to get done until April, May, because you need to like build that fire. You know, that's how sort of you create a culture of that moves incredibly fast. You set a crazy goal. If you fall short, you're still faster than everybody else. And that's why Elon's not afraid to put out these insane timelines out in public. You know, like, hey, do this next month, or, you know, Twitter blew their verification in 4 days. It's to speed things along. You know, that's how you create the culture. But I think it's extremely unlikely. I think it's extremely unlikely.
I'm very excited to finally. I know we're not even there yet. I'm still getting ahead of myself, but the Cybertruck, like to see that in the wild soon.
Nuts.
I'm very excited. And let me know in the chat if you guys have a reservation. I think you have one, right? Farzad?
Yes, sir.
You?
I do.
Were you one of the first-ish people or no?
I was the day after. I was the morning after. So I'm probably going to be one of the earlier-ish ones, especially because I'm located in Austin and I have like the top spec one reserved. So theoretically, I should be one of the first ones, one of the first group of people, but we'll see. We'll see.
And I'm not keeping my hopes up on the Cybertruck anytime in the next 3 or 4 months, even because we haven't heard pricing updates, to my knowledge, on Cybertruck. So I'd reckon that you would at least get a quarter heads up with what price updates you have on your reservation before you expect people to buy the Cybertruck. Like, you can't just be like, hey, Cybertruck's delivering next week, and by the way, here's a 50% increase in the price that you reserved it from, is my guess.
I mean, they could do that, but at the same time, they have a 2 million car backlog. I don't even know how many they have backlog now for the Cybertruck. So
they do, but it would just be like, you know, more of a heads up. Yeah, good faith thing to everyone to give a heads up and not push people a week into it. Be like, hey, buy it now, or you're losing your reservation. You know, it would just be bad press. So
I agree with
probably like three-ish months for that. But the semis, yes, people in the comments are throwing with the semi that came out during the court trial, and I think that was Robin that said 100 semis was the goal by the end of the year to make. 100's a lot. That's a lot of batteries for 100 semis. You know,
they have a goal of 50,000 per year in 2024 exiting. I think it was their production target.
20. Yeah. Was it?
50,
yeah, I think it was 40. Oh, 40,000, 50,000,
40,000.
Okay.
But yeah, I
that's
forget
a
what it was.
lot, man. That's a
lot of semis, dude.
Like, I'm not even sure how many. Does anyone know what's the semi market annually? Do you know that?
Yeah, it's 2 million per year. Globally, I believe.
That's a lot. 50,000 in the first or second year of full. Like, I mean, that's crazy.
It's a lot of freaking semis.
So I'm going to answer some questions here, but I'm also going to throw in the chat. If you want to participate, come on the show, show your video, camera, mic, whatever it is. Feel free to toss it in the chat here. StreamYard.com/whatever. How's it going, Marco? So will they still make the tri-motor version? I mean, I think they said that they were only starting with the upper end ones for now, right? I think they taking away the single motor?
Well, my gut tells me that they probably will, at least for the first couple years. I think they'll probably move away from tri and go quad, if I were to guess. They're probably going to introduce a quad motor variant and then maybe do dual motor for the lower spec ones.
Right.
Just to sort of have similar capabilities to the competing, like the Hummer EV and the Rivian R1T or things like that. But they're going to be selling the top spec model for at least the first year. and it won't get into the lower specs until probably 2024, 2025.
That's
It's
the
going to take a
thing.
minute.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna be, yeah. But
Every rapper is going to have Cybertruck in their music video. You know it.
for sure. I think
You
it's
know
already
it.
happening. I think I've seen a couple of music videos with Cybertrucks in it. Actually,
Travis Scott, I think, had it in his when it was first unveiled. Like, it's
there you go.
brilliant. It
Yeah.
will sell itself. It's crazy.
Houston represent. Do you know what the realistic starting price of the Cybertruck might be now versus where it's at?
I
I
think
would say
60.
60K. Okay.
You know Aditya? If that's the
No.
same Aditya that I know from Tesla, that would be awesome. I knew it. I knew an Audi from LinkedIn. If that's the same Audi that I'm thinking of, that would be awesome. But
okay.
yeah,
I have no
let
idea.
us know if you are. I think 60,000 will be the starting price.
60K. Okay. And right now, or not right now, but they were taking reservations at what was it, like as low as like 30, like upper 30s, 40s?
39.9, I think, was the starting price.
It's crazy.
Something like that.
That's not going to happen. There's like no chance of that happening now, right?
No way. No way.
Okay, so let's. I wanted to watch with you guys this Charlie Munger video of the CNBC interview that he had on. Let me just make sure everything is working here. And feel free to come into the stream. Don't be scared. We're not going to bite. But let's watch this thing and let's get some live reactions. And if you want me to pause, just put up your hand or just leave me a comment.
Long-time crypto skeptic
Can you hear that?
dismissing rat poison like Bitcoin in favor of the dollar and other world currencies, even as central banks around the world balance record high inflation with rising interest rates.
I basically like the existence of the Fed. I think in a world of fiat currencies, we need wise central banks. And if you look at Japan today, you would find that the central bank has made our central bank look like a little mouse that hardly tries to do anything. So we've learned that central banks can be really important. You can push them to great excess if you have to, and you're in enough trouble. So by and large, I like central bankers.
I think it's pretty funny. I think you kind of have this dynamic I've noticed where like older generation investors, they see the inflation and the amount of triggering that they get is just crazy. Like they're like, tear this to the ground. How is this happening? Because I mean, historically speaking, it is crazy levels of inflation. And you look at that and you're like, they immediately get triggered back to the 70s. And they're like, I don't care if rates need to go to 20%. You're going to do it. Like there's like this like bottom dollar effect with these older generation investors.
So true.
And then you got the younger generation investors that are like, dude, like, I don't care, print more money. And they don't really know the ramifications. Abolish the Fed. And we don't have to get into the whole like crypto thing with the Fed, but
yeah, that's very true. That's a great observation.
By and large, I hate Bitcoin promoters.
There it is.
When you say that we look like a mouse compared to Japan's central bank, is that a good thing? I mean, look what's happened to Japan.
Yeah, it's a good thing we haven't had to try it. But if we get in the kind of trouble Japan was in, of course we'll do the same damn thing.
I also got the chance to ask Mr. Munger about Elon Musk. Over the weekend, there was a Twitter account that tweets out quotes supposedly from Elon Musk. This one said, I was at a lunch with Munger in 2009 where he told the whole table all the ways Tesla would fail. Made me quite sad, but I told him I agreed with all those reasons and that we would probably die, but it was worth trying anyway. Now, Elon Musk himself replied back to that and said, true, that did happen. I asked Charlie Munger about it. He doesn't recall that lunch. It was a long time ago, 2009, probably.
Honestly, who's surprised that he doesn't remember that lunch? Are you surprised? Come on.
It made a bigger impression on Elon Musk than it did on Charlie Munger. However, when you talk to him about it, he doesn't remember giving the diagnosis. He still had some kind things to say about Elon Musk.
I was certainly surprised that Tesla did as well as it did. But I do not equate Tesla with Bitcoin.
Okay. Why? What? Do you know why he even made that comment? Like, what drove him to compare Tesla and Bitcoin together? Just because, I mean,
I think it was just back-to-back topics. I think maybe it was back-to-back topics. And, you know, she's asking about this very volatile, whatever, speculative thing. So the statement here tells me is that Charlie doesn't think Tesla's speculative, right? So I don't think of it as a Bitcoin. I don't think it's Bitcoin. So he views it as a real company, and I'm sure that what he's going to say, the rest of what he's going to say here is going to sort of back that up. But
Good.
Tesla has made some real contributions to civilization. Elon Musk has done some good things that other people couldn't do.
In fact, about Musk's work at Tesla, Munger was very complimentary.
We haven't had a successful new auto company in a long, long time. What Tesla has done in the car business is a minor miracle.
I love, by the way, the fact that like he says the most basic complimentary things of another entrepreneur that's like a CEO, founder of a mega cap company. And like people, and we're running, and I mean, I guess I'm kind of case in point here is like, you know, people are running away with this thing. Like,
well, you know what's funny though? I mean, Elon himself came out and said that his words are very complimentary. Like he himself recognized the nice. So his words do carry some weight. You know,
for sure. I'm Charles Munger's a legend. 100%, he's a legend. But all he really said was like, "Yeah, Elon Musk is a legit businessman." Like that's. I mean, that's all he really said. Like, did he say anything more substantial than that? Like, did he say Tesla's a sick company? Great earnings, loving the earnings growth. Peg is really low, man. You know what? I can't say this, but I should really invest. Like, no, he didn't say any of that. All he said was like, Elon, he's an entrepreneur, man. Yeah. And he's no Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we're like eating this up. Like
Tesla is a company. Tesla is a company. Literally. I do think though the statement around and I know we got to do the guessing game here in a second, but I think the statement around it being a minor miracle and he's done something that hasn't been done before. I think those are pretty big statements. And part of me speculating is does this now mean that the company is on Berkshire Hathaway's radar in hopes that they can get a cheap enough price to enter so that it fits their sort of their methodology of how they invest in companies. And one of the things we talked about in our forum earlier today was like, if that were to happen, imagine what kind of signal that sends to the market when Berkshire Hathaway, one of the most conservative funds out there, decides to invest in Tesla while all this shit is going on. And what is one of Warren Buffett's biggest mantras? While others are fearful, buy. Right? I forget the exact wording, but it was get greedy. Right? When others are greedy, get fearful. When others are be fearful. When others are fearful, be greedy.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Throw in your Tesla closing price guess in the chat. Remember, Price is Right rules. You have to get at or under to win the virtual GG prize.
You're listening to us, Josh. Look at that.
Yeah. What's your guess? Do you have one?
Oh, man.
Guess always go first so I can get the upper hand.
You should put like some Jeopardy music. Do you have the Jeopardy music pulled up?
Do I have it? Okay, I got it. Ready?
Can you do it?
Oh, wait. Acoustic cinematic?
Sure. I'm going to say...
This is so awkward.
Isn't it? I'm going to say 181.50. 9. Yeah. 181.69.
181.69. I'm going to throw that in the chat for you. I'm going to guess 180 on the dot.
I feel like I'm like in a trippy dream or something. Should we put some mushrooms?
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds like that. I mean, I could play lo-fi. Maybe that's a little bit better. This is okay. Well, okay, hold on. Let's cut the shit. Okay. 180.50 sitting on Tesla at the moment.
Wait, what did I say? 181.69?
69. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I threw it in the chat. Okay, so people are saying check out the weekly. Okay, let's check out the weekly. The weekly candle, we opened at 192, closing here around 180-ish, as low as 176.55, as high as, believe it or not, we were in slightly in the 200s this week. Thoughts on the third consecutive red week for Tesla, my man?
What am I supposed to do?
I guess it is what it is.
My biggest takeaway, again, it's a reminder that I really need to figure out how to capitalize on these opportunities more. There's one, I'm beating myself up quite a bit in the last couple months that I don't have the dry powder that I wanted to have in order to capitalize on these opportunities because I'm very, very bullish on the company long term. And these for me would have been buying opportunities if I did a better job of strengthening my income streams more. Not that I'm struggling, but like I can't buy Tesla stock. So that's kind of pissing me off. So,
I mean, to be fair though, if you're a Tesla investor and you somehow sitting here in November have dry powder still remaining, like man, you've really spaced out your purchases perfectly. Then I would say so. I would say that's generally speaking. And people are hoarding more money now with the recession upcoming, and people are trying to put more into their emergency savings. So that makes sense. I'm spending more and more money on the business, trying to grow that. So like, I kind of feel your sentiments there of like, what to do, because I'm trying to grow that because I think that'll feed the beast that is Tesla anyways in the longer term. So it is what it is. But remember, if there's one thing that we've learned from this market, it's that you have time. Time is on your side. Spacing out the purchases makes sense. You don't really have to time the exact bottom. And don't rush into it. Almost like it's like almost welcome it. Like, if Tesla, I'm not saying this will happen, but if Tesla just lags here for the next 3 months, like you kind of have your opportunity, I guess, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I got some questions started up here. If you have any questions as well, call them out, Farzad, and I'll pull them up. Mark's asking, when will robotaxi trials in cities like Miami and Las Vegas begin? Do you have any insight on this?
Robotaxi. So is that robotaxi like are we saying purpose-built robotaxi, or are we saying a self-driving car? So if it's a
purpose-built
2025.
Like fleet. The first fleet of Tesla robotaxis.
2025 at the earliest, I would say.
Really? Weren't you end of next year for
full self-driving?
Okay, so what's the lag difference there?
So I'm talking about like the square box that has no steering wheel and no pedals.
Oh, okay, that's 2020. That's 2025.
That's what. Yeah, that's why I kind of framed the question. That purpose-built robotaxi that has no steering wheel and pedals, I think is going to be 2025. Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. How about your guess on like the first robotaxis on the road for Tesla?
Q3 2023.
Okay, so you are still very bullish on that. Interesting.
Yes.
So for that to happen, I guess to answer Mark's question, when would they have to announce a partnership with someone or some company or some city?
The same day. Right.
Okay. So you don't think
I think places like Miami and Vegas are going to be very pro whatever Musk is doing because of the type of politics, especially in those areas. I think they're very pro business friendly. They like to take risks. When you think about Vegas and Miami, they're crazy. Some crazy stuff happens in those cities. So it's a perfect place to experiment with something like full self-driving. I think it will totally go in tandem. And I bet you Musk is already having those conversations with the governors and the folks of those cities. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Q3 2023 is a little bit too aggressive. I would say. I would say I think we would hear more murmurs out in the wild by now if it was going to be that soon. But I hope I'm wrong, man. I really do. Like, this is not accounted for all intents and purposes in the stock, and analysts don't even talk about robotaxis. I don't even model for robotaxis in my back of the napkin. So I would say I would take your 2025 guess for that is my like stone's throw.
Okay.
I guess we'll see. But I mean, you're the guy with FSD beta trying it every day. So I'm not. So
some serious improvements happening.
And by the way, did you get FSD a V11 yet?
No, not yet. It's super limited. I think it's only internal folks right now.
Okay.
Chuck will probably get his in a couple, like next week or the week after. I'm dying for the version 11,
man.
bro.
I'm really excited for it. Yeah,
it's going to be insane.
Are you sold on a factory announcement anytime soon? H-Town represent. I think I said that. So new gigas. That's actually interesting. Like, this has gotten lost on everything. Like, everyone's talking about Twitter and all this sort of stuff. Like, we've almost forgotten that we probably are going to get a couple at least one, I would say, in the next 6 months here for an announcement. Are you sold on that timeline still?
Yeah, for sure. I would be surprised. Well, let me reframe it. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement by the end of the year. So in the next month and a half, I think, because the guidance from Tesla was, we should have an announcement by the end of the year. So yeah, and my gut tells me Canada. I think it's
Okay.
going to be Ontario. Yeah.
Okay. I am with you there. Maybe not by the end of the year, but I think if not, I think talks will intense because I mean I think one thing that Tesla did really good last time between Tulsa and Austin was like they made them publicly fight for each other and leverage, and like you saw Elon like I think the night before Austin was like officially announced, he was with Tulsa's mayor and
Yep.
governor of Oklahoma and like trying to leverage them. You haven't seen any of that yet, so I would think we probably see that, and hopefully we see more of that by the end of the year. But man, maybe Elon's too busy with Twitter to meet up with the governors.
I think more people at Tesla are doing what Elon would usually be doing right now. I think it's part of a
Right.
succession plan. I have a lot of theories around that.
Hmm.
I think this Twitter thing is Elon's way of forcing Tesla executives to be in the driver's seat more,
Okay.
so that he can start focusing on what he wants to focus on and leverage the teams that he's built to take the company to the next level. Because now, Starship, full self driving, the bot, Twitter, these are the things that he's excellent at working at. And then if you can find his Gwen Shotwell at Tesla and
Right.
at Twitter, then Elon's effectiveness will multiply as well, because now he doesn't have to worry about the things that he has openly said he hates working on. He's in the best position possible to make that happen. Just
Well,
up to him to make it happen.
I think Sheryl Sandberg is available. I'm not sure.
Ooh.
So okay, interesting. So let's pull up the next question here. Whatever happened to Master Plan Part 3? That's another one. That's I think like it's like
Dude, that beer
everyone's
made me
attention.
so thirsty just now. My God. Oh, Paul, what are you drinking there, bro? My God, that looks so good.
I guess it is 5 o'clock somewhere. It's so true. What happened about like no one cares about this stuff seemingly anymore. No one cares about FSD or like I guess we do, but like no one in mainstream media at all cares about this sort of stuff anymore. Everyone's just focused on is the Twitter site going to be up and running. Whatever happened to Master Plan Part 3?
Yeah, whatever happened to it? I agree. I agree. I'm waiting with a bated breath to see what the plan is. Hopefully by the end of the year. It might be tied to perhaps Q4 and the full year earnings. I wonder if maybe that's what they're waiting for. Or it could also be, Elon has dropped some hints around mining potentially being part of the Tesla sort of strategy coming forward because of the lack of response from some partners. So maybe he's waiting for that to solidify before he comes out and says, okay, it's Master Plan Part 3. And guess what? Here's our first mine. This is where it's going to be. So he might be waiting for that to come to fruition. So we'll see.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, and I definitely see that being a part of it because you need the supplies and the raw materials for that. So
100%.
that would make 100% sense. Raymond's asking, does NHTSA need to approve it first, aka robotaxis? Possibly not like others like Waymo that got city state approval.
Yeah.
Do you have insight on this?
Exactly that. I think it's just city state. They can override some of the NHTSA stuff, especially if it's like local governance. But yeah, I think they'll be able to move much faster.
Will Elon finally advertise using Twitter now that he owns it?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So
I think so.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, the market closed, by the way.
Oh, there we go.
19.
$180.19 finishing on the week.
Sorry, guys.
I think that's actually pretty close. Huh? But yeah, go ahead. Answer this question.
I would love to hear your thoughts on this because you're the ad guy. I think Elon has talked about advertising for Tesla at some point, and that it was going to be he wanted to do it very artistically, like done the right way. And now that he has a platform that he can fully leverage for what he's calling the best way to do ads, then at some point we're going to start seeing Tesla ads on Twitter for sure. But we're also going to see ads for a lot of people, because if Twitter becomes the de facto place for users to go to and share ideas and consume content, then everybody's going to want to advertise on Twitter. So it will not just be a Tesla thing that's going to be massive on the platform. I think it's going to be everybody. But what do you think? This is your area of expertise. How do you think about it?
Well, I just look at it from an optics perspective first, and I just think if Elon starts to funnel, this is how the media is gonna take it. Elon is funneling Tesla money into his next project. Oh, Tesla starts spending millions of dollars to fund Twitter. I think he looks at those probably looks at these optics, I'm guessing, at least initially, and is like, okay, maybe let's not do this because it'll just look like we're using Tesla money to save this new company. Do you agree with that or no?
Mm.
And by the way, our winner
Yeah.
is Gonzalo because I guessed 180, and you priced the right rules. You beat me by a penny, my friend. So that is our winner for the day.
Nice shot. Nice job, Gonzalo. Yeah, but I don't think he starts advertising until like 3 to 5 years from now. So this is a long-term horizon.
Oh, okay.
I think Twitter's future is well secured before that happens. So Twitter will be self-sustaining. They'll be making boku bucks.
Mhm.
And once Tesla's like, yep, we're going to start advertising on the platform, it's not going to be, I mean, the thing is going to be like, oh, this is so unfair. How do we know you're not leveraging the algorithm to your advantage? It's going to be like, because it's open source, go read the code. Right. So, yeah. So for me, it's longer term horizon. I don't think it's a next year thing.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, definitely I can buy into that then if it's a longer term thing. I think short term though, if like Tesla started advertising on Twitter, people's eyes would roll a little bit like, okay, now we're using Tesla money to and again, this is so funny. It's like, it's so political now with everything, like it doesn't even matter what the actual truth is or the bottom line is or what the intentions are. It's about what are the optics in a scenario? Like that's what you have to optimize for today. It's just terrible. Like the business environment today is like everything's about optics. You have to optimize for that. And I guess the counterpoint to that is like Elon really doesn't optimize for that, and that's why he's here. So
that's fair. That's fair.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, Twitter, by the way, is going to be releasing some sort of video platform soon. I think Elon said up to like 40 minutes worth of video to be uploaded. I guess during the chat, have you joined Twitter or used Twitter more in the last week than prior to? In the last, like this little debacle scenario, I know a lot of people, and I've gotten some messages on Twitter. People follow me, message me like, "Oh, I just joined Twitter for the first time."
Same.
And it's like I'm getting these follows. I'm like, what? Like, so I guess it's like a lot of YouTube people even like that don't you really use Twitter or that are coming on Twitter now. So
Same.
I guess usage is quite high on Twitter. And my Twitter app sucks. I'm not sure if it's like that with you too. It's so slow. It's terribly slow. It doesn't load. Like my Twitter app is garbage. I'm not sure if anyone else has.
What phone are you on? What kind of phone do you use?
The iPhone 12 or whatever it is.
Really? Mine's super fast. It's one of my fastest apps.
Mine sucks. I don't know if it's because I'm in Canada. I think Elon said like out of the country they use a lot more microservices. Like in India, it takes 20 seconds to load. So I'm guessing maybe there's some sort of thing there. But yeah,
crazy. Yeah, it could be that.
So I guess we'll see. People are saying more. Yes. Some people are saying less, same amount. I'm using it a lot more because there's just so much more drama going on in the world.
Yeah, it's so fun.
You know, it's yesterday though, I made the critical error of saying I'm not going to use Twitter actively. I'm like, screw this. I'm not using Twitter today. I'm going to get some work done. I put my Twitter away in the morning. I came back in the evening and everyone was saying like, I thought everyone was dying, man, because people were tweeting like they had either gotten fired from a job or that like they were dying. I got scared. I had like 2 or 3 friends that like, I was like, what is happening? And then I look at the trending page and like hashtag Twitter dead or something. I was like, man, people are really dumb, man. People fall for anything. The Twitter app is not going to go down. Even my sister last night, I go to my parents' house. I run into my sister. She's like, you're not on Twitter still, are you? I'm like, what are you talking? What? Like what? I'm like, what? I've been on Twitter since like 2009. She's like, yeah, Twitter sucks. He's firing all these people. I'm like, you're just reading all these headlines, man. Like you really know nothing. I'm like, have you even ever used Twitter? And she's, I guess I'm putting her on blast here, but I was I was like, have you ever even like used Twitter? Come on, like you have no reason to give me insight on Twitter. You've never used Twitter. She's like, no, I've used TikTok. It's better. I'm like, oh my God. So I am continually reminded how often people just read headlines and just take consumer sentiment. And that's why, by the way, I don't like TikTok, because if you talk about creating consumer sentiment, if you talk about creating a hive mind in a nation, well, when a foreign government can control the way that your citizens think and put narratives, and I don't have to get into this, put narratives in their heads to think a certain way, that scares me for the long-term longevity of a country, nation, whatever it is. So,
yep, agreed, 100%. Yeah, I think, the mainstream media, the way they're covering this Twitter saga is an embarrassment. It's completely embarrassing. And for me, the biggest parallel I'm seeing with mainstream media now that Twitter is owned by Elon is that mainstream media is now legacy auto. And it's they're dead. It's over. It's
Mm.
over. It's a
That is
joke.
true. That
These
is
guys
true.
are a joke.
Legacy Auto funds mainstream media directly. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. It's a
Not
massive
anymore.
joke. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where we go. Fun
Yeah.
times.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on, man, on an impromptu
Of
notice
course.
on a Power Hour. 180.19 sitting on Tesla as we close out the week. Hopefully next week and the weeks ahead are better for the stock price and better for our mental health. Remember,
Yeah.
put away your phone, put away your technology, go for a walk, go get a workout, spend time with family, do that sort of stuff this weekend, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for subscribing, watching the channel. Go subscribe to Farzad's channel as well. Any last parting thoughts for the folks at home?
Thank you very much for having me on. Juju Gang is the best community, one of the best communities on the internet. You do such a great job with your community. Your community is always awesome and super respectful. Thank you all very much for having me. And yeah, man, thank you. I hope Farzad donated his beard. No, it's down the drain, unfortunately. It's gone. But I'll be back. This is like 3 days since I cut it.
Maybe I'll shave in honor of
it comes
of
in
you.
slower than it used to, man. I think I need some testosterone or something, bro. Maybe I need to go see a doctor.
I think you should go talk to Joe Rogan for that TRT.
I'm not sure. I should probably have kids first before I start killing off my sperm. We'll touch base after we have some kids. Maybe. I'll hit you up, Joe, in like 5-6 years.
There we go. All right, guys. Much love. Take care, everyone. Peace out, and
everybody.
hit subscribe on your way out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.